What's up, guys? Welcome to the first episode of the Cosmic Barbecue, a podcast about everything and anything by me, Matt in the Real World, Mikey J. Shields, and Jim Cratchley of Dinosaur Polyp.
Woo!
What's going on, dudes?
All
How's
good,
it going?
man. All good.
Woo!
Bloody lovely outside, isn't it?
It might well be.
It's amazing. I actually just took I just took a little beautiful walk / bike ride. It was sweet.
Oh, you've left the cave for your government allowed walk. Your daily.
When you say you went for a walk with you have your bike over your shoulder or something.
Well, I cycled to the park and then couldn't ride in the park, so I just
Oh.
walked around. You know, I
Nice.
needed to clear my head. I fried my brain this morning. For some reason, I got up this morning and immediately started writing on some dinosaur stuff. But I don't know why I did this, but I decided to start writing simultaneously on 3 different songs.
Right.
I have no idea why I did
Because
that,
songwriting's
but
not hard enough.
Right, I sort of got pumped on one song that I'm working on, and then I was like, oh yeah, shit, that made me think of these 2 others. So I opened them up as well, and I was like working on 3 songs, and then about an hour later, I pretty much just like had a meltdown, and I was like, I literally can't do this. I need to go outside.
I mean, nobody's forcing you to do this
yeah.
either. It's all of your
I
own
know.
will.
I don't know why I did it. Anyway,
Good to hear you.
I played myself.
Good to hear you're busy though. You know.
I played myself.
Yeah. My brain feels like pancake mixture right now, so that's good. Anyway,
Good.
what do you want to chat about? What do you guys want to chat about?
Well, this being episode 1, obviously we threw it out there that we're doing a podcast, asked a few people what they wanted to hear. And one of the questions which I felt was appropriate for episode 1 was about how the band became a thing, which I thought would be quite cool. Yeah, how it started with you from the beginning. Let's take it right back to 2K7.
2K7. Shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Little baby Matt.
I mean, yeah, dude, it's so crazy to think about me back then beginning this journey.
Yeah.
Like
13 years ago,
that
man.
is bonkers.
I don't even remember what the hell I was doing in 2007.
Oh, mate, it's so crazy to think about all those. I mean, there's so many. Well, let's get into it. There's so many parts of it. I mean, I started Dinosaur as a solo project.
Yeah, because was that at the same time as you were in Mother Vulpine?
No, I guess it was just after that, I suppose. Like my first band, like Mikey just said, Mother Vulpine. That I sort of ended, and it wasn't right, so that sort of ended, and I sort of started writing these other weird little songs, and I guess those songs and those demos developed into sort of the songs that became Dinosaur. I mean, those original demos and stuff those original songs are really different to I guess what Dinosaur became, but I was sort of feeling it out.
Do you remember any of those original song names? I think I remember a couple.
Yeah, there was a batch of about 7 songs that were sort of the original demos. They were so different. There was like what Howard said.
Absolute ripper.
That was a good tune, actually. Yeah, there was like
Winter Warmer with the disco beat.
Winter Warmer. That was like a weird disco pop song.
Yeah.
These Gloves. That was a strange song. They were kind of like, they were sort of weird songs, weren't they? Because they didn't have I hadn't sort of figured out what I was doing, I guess.
No, they definitely sounded like they had a identity, but it was way more like indie and not quite as heavy as we've ended up being.
Yeah, it was way more indie. Yeah.
But then Mother Vulpine had a bit of that to it as well.
Definitely, yeah.
What were you listening to?
Yeah, I mean, I was listening to like Mastercraft and stuff back then. Like
Mastercraft was sick.
so sick. And that they did that remix of that Block Party song, 2 More Years, and the Mastercraft version of it was just so amazing. It really influenced me. Anyway, so yeah, I had those bunch of songs, and it was such a strange time because I just wanted to do this thing, and I just wanted to.
Were you still in art school then? Not art school, but starting your degree.
Yeah, I guess I was. Yeah.
And how did you record these ones? Was that just literally with the Mac?
So no, it was crazy. It was actually before I even had a Mac, and I bought this. I wanted to start recording these demos. Didn't know how to do it, so I bought this Tascam 8-track recorder.
Oh wow, fucking old school.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't like a vintage one. It was it was a digital 8-track recorder,
right?
But it was this big blue box thing, and you could bounce it down so you could have 16 tracks, I think.
Yeah.
But I just pretty much used 8. So it was like proper recording with faders, and you'd record it, and if it wasn't good enough, you'd go back and delete it and do it again. And I literally wrote the first Dinosaur demos on that, and I had them all saved in it. It was essentially like a hard drive with controls. Bizarre.
Right.
And I'd obviously I was playing the drums on those demos too.
Yeah.
So for instance, the Brudenell Social Club in Leeds was 10 minutes walk from my house at that time. I was living in the Brudenell streets in Leeds, in Hyde Park. And that wasn't
where I moved in with you though, right? It was round the corner then.
You moved in with me just up the hill.
Yeah.
We were on the side of Hyde Park when you and me were living together.
That's right.
But just down Royal Park. Yeah, down Royal Park Hill. I was halfway down there. And at this time. And I had an attic room. My little room was an attic room.
Yeah.
So I used to record, and in my attic room, I had this little room off the side that was like a closet, I guess. It had no lights in it. And I didn't have any clothes in it. It was just a weird space that I didn't use. So I put a tiny little desk in it. Or maybe I think my desk was a cardboard box with my 8-track on it.
Just some pizza boxes stacked up.
Yeah, I think I just had 2 cardboard boxes on top of each other, and that was my table. And on those boxes, I had my 8-track. I had this shitty little chair and a mic. And in that closet, that's where I did the guitars and the vocals for the original demo of My Rock and Roll.
Oh shit!
And yeah, and then there was a basement in that flat, but me playing drums in that basement was just too brutal. So I asked the guy there's a venue in Leeds, for anyone who doesn't know, called the Brudenell Social Club, which is absolutely amazing, and it's a really supportive venue of it's like the hub of the Leeds scene. It's a touring, it's a touring
staple. It's like,
what would you? Yeah, it's a touring staple.
It's literally in the UK touring scene, it's legendary pretty much, and even more so in Leeds for nurturing bands coming up. I remember when I moved in and finding out that it was literally down the road, I was like, holy shit. And then getting there, because I'd never actually seen it, and getting there to see it for the first time, and it's just this old working man's club, the thing, straight out of Phoenix Nights. I was like, what? This is the legendary Brudenell? What the fuck?
Yeah. Yeah, it's killer, man. And so, Nath, the guy who was, he runs the music out of the brew and stuff, runs the brew. So I knew Nath from being in Mother Vulpine and playing loads of shows at the brew and always being down there and everything. So so I asked Nath whether I could if he could let me in to the Brudenell before, because every night there's gigs there. So I was like, well, I need to can I come and play drums in the brew before the bands load in? So if I call you, like, can you let me in the back door and play drums? And he was kind enough to say, yeah. So I would, every day, I would carry my drum kit down in 2 or 3 trips. So I'd literally carry this fucking drum kit down the hill, like carrying this fucking kick drum with a sack of hardware on my back, and then I go back for the snare drum, the hi-hats and all this shit, and the recorder and stuff. It was like, I would, it'd take me fucking ages.
And you wonder why your back's fucked now, dude.
Dude, I know, right? Such a dumbass. Like, what an idiot. Anyway, so he'd let me in, I'd like set up my kit on the floor of the main room and record the drum tracks for and that's how I did like Love Is a Boat, the original of Love Is a Boat.
So you'd take your little
my rock
mixer
and roll
down with you as well?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
And I'd set.
How would you mic up the kit down
there? That up. I used to use one center mic, like the Beatles did. I just heard that the Beatles used one center mic that they used to put above, like sort of above the middle of the kit, and you can find a sort of sweet spot.
Oh, sweet.
And just do it that way. So, and that's how I did it. So I just had to be kind of conscious of like destroying cymbals.
Yeah.
Mike, take note.
But you ended up getting a kind of
amen.
yeah, right. You ended up kind of getting a cool sound. So that's how I did it. And then I'd record, so I'd record the drums in the brew and record the vocals and guitars in my little flat in the attic. And that's how I did it. And then I'll go on, Jim.
Oh, I was going to say, I remember seeing like a sort of making of years ago. Did Matt Maud make it with you?
Oh, of the
making of in the studio.
Growing Pains.
Oh, was that of making Growing Pains?
That was making Growing Pains. Yeah.
Oh shit.
So that was in 2009, 2010. So by that time, I'd like done all these demos. I'd kind of like got some management and. Because it was MySpace back then, right?
Yeah, it was MySpace. That's how
where
I
first heard.
I think
it
was.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'd put my rock and roll as the song on MySpace, and that kind of immediately got like quite a lot of attention out of like the industry in London and stuff. So fast forward like 2 years later, I'd sort of got management, and I'd played a show or two, I guess, where I just kind of got friends to play. Oh yeah, no, we'd probably started touring by then, and I had like...
You'd been through a few different members of people just sort of playing your songs, though. It was like Tommy Davidson, who's now in Pulled Up by Horses.
Yeah, I've been through a bunch of lineups of peeps playing the songs. Steve Wilson, obviously, and like Tommy Dawnford May, and loads of people. And then eventually, when I got to recording the first record, I kind of knew what I wanted to do. And if I'm kind of honest, like I guess no one really had the feel of how I wanted it to be. So that was a really difficult decision, because obviously I'd gone and done the EP as a test of whether I could record everything on my own, because I kind of felt like I was like, these are going to be the first recordings of the band.
Yeah, that's the greatest.
And I want it to be right.
The most powerful EP in the universe, right?
Yeah. And I wanted it to sound right. So I was like, I made that difficult decision to kind of just go and do it on my own, because I felt like I could get what I wanted out of it, I guess. I felt like I could record it. I felt like I could record it better.
You did that EP with Kenosha, yeah? James Kenosha.
Yeah, so I recorded the EP and Growing Pains with Kenosha.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when I first heard the EP and through like Summer Hit Single, I thought, oh, this is rad. Opposites Attract. I was like, this is sick as well. Reminds me a lot of Nirvana. But then when I heard Beach Bug, I was like, holy fucking shit. I fucking love this.
No way.
Yeah, it fucking blew me away.
That's so wild.
I remember just having that song on repeat for about 3 weeks.
Yeah, I had a real vibe to that song. I remember like the team at the time that when they heard that, they were like stoked on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, there's so much detail that goes into this. I feel like, it's hard for me to like know how much to say, because I could talk about this for literally hours, and I don't want to like bore people on a podcast and stuff. But
I think people would be pretty stoked. I mean, include what you want to include, bro.
Yeah, I mean, so I recorded that EP and Growing Pains on my own up at James Kenosha's studio in Bridlington.
Yeah.
And by that time we'd been touring a bunch, and I had that old postal van as our tour van.
Oh my God, that van. You've told me some fucking stories about that van. That might be a different pod.
Yeah. But so, and I'd drive down to Bridlington on my own. I'd stay in this kind of spare room at the studio on my own, like, and then James would come in every day to the studio and we'd record, and then I'd go to bed, like living on noodles or whatever.
Losing your mind.
I think it was, I mean, yeah, like looking back, like, I don't know, man, I was pretty fucking resilient, I think.
Yeah.
Like, looking back. Because it was pretty hardcore. Like, I was out at James' studio for months.
Literally months making that record. And it was, it's pretty intense. Obviously, James is just like the loveliest dude ever. But, we were making that record was intense because I was doing everything. Yeah.
And that's exhausting. And then you're kind of, he'd leave and I was just alone. It was a really strange time.
But it's pretty cool to have that like really intense creative period where you're kind of realizing what you want the band to be, like all these songs that you spent so long writing, to be in a professional studio environment. Working with somebody like James is pretty fucking rad. Yeah,
it was killer. And like, obviously, I can't remember how old I was then, but
24, I think, or something.
Now,
but there was no deal in place either at this point. You were just making an album, right?
Yeah, there was no deal. Like, there was no deal in place. Like, we were gonna try and maybe release it on a major if anyone picked it up. If they weren't, we were gonna release it on an indie label, which is what we ended up doing.
I think you had publishing though, right, before the album, which I think funded it. Had you got a publishing deal? I
can't remember. Yeah, I think maybe I did. I think maybe that was the first thing that I did through management and all the kind of hype and stuff in London. I think that's what that was the first thing I did, so I could kind of fund it all and live on it and stuff.
Yeah, that is
so
right.
I could actually make it happen.
Yeah, because I remember hearing from somebody else in the scene about the first time. I think Steve or somebody went to a music shop and just picked out a drum kit, and he was like, "Yeah, put it on this card."
Yeah.
So everybody was like,
"People probably."
Oh, they've suddenly got a bit of money, have they?
Yeah, that people probably had a lot to say about that. Not that I give a fuck. Yeah. Yeah, man. Weird times.
And then I think it was whilst you were recording that album was when Steve dropped out of the project, and you suddenly were like, "Okay, shit, I need a drummer." And before you'd gone in, who were you playing with, or was it a headline tour when you came through Norwich the first time?
So I'm pretty sure that was with Steve on drums, Steve Wilson on drums, and Tommy on bass.
It was.
We came through Norwich, yeah. And you were playing with the Brownies,
yeah,
as the first on, or I think you were first on.
Yeah, I think I was first on.
I can't remember who was supporting us as the main support, but you were first on. And I remember watching your set, because there wasn't many places to like hang out or whatever at the art centre.
Yeah, the art centre, which is unusual now, I have to say, because you hardly watch the other bands playing. So
totally, but I guess that's because now I've been touring for 12 years or whatever. Like, I'm fucked,
Yeah,
just want a few moments of peace and quiet.
Yeah, back then you were young and sprightly,
right?
Yeah,
like please let me rest. Yeah, Yeah, back then I would come out and like watch the support acts and stuff, and thank God I did, because I came out and watched you guys play, and
Yeah.
the Brownies were sick. But I remember watching
Thanks,
you and be like, that dude fucking slays, and he looks like he's like a super young Dale Crover type of vibe.
I had super long hair.
Dale Crover, super long hair. I was like, that's fucking rad, and he shreds. And yet you did remind me of, like, I've always thought you've had a Dale Crover vibe, like with how you play your like fills, particularly triplet fills. You have a real weight to them, and your flams obviously. So I immediately heard that. I was like, that's fucking Melvin's, like, all over, and I dig that. So I think, I can't remember what happened. Was I at the merch stand and you came up and said hey afterwards or something?
Yeah, I came over and said hey. Said, like, I was like, oh man, fucking loved that set. It was really awesome. I remember before the gig though, speaking to you very briefly, and I think you had just heard about your ticket sales. And you were like, if you know anybody who wants to come to the show tonight, just put them all on the guest list. Bring as many people.
Amazing.
I was like, oh,
yeah.
this show's obviously going to be busy.
Was that the first time you played at Norwich?
I think it might have been.
Yeah.
The Arts Club's a pretty decent place to play your first time through
Arts
Norwich.
Arts
Centre, sorry.
Actually, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's
yeah, it is. I mean, yeah, I don't know. Dinosaur, it was weird. Like Dinosaur pre Growing Pains and coming up to Growing Pains had a lot of heat, strangely.
Yeah,
like,
it did. It was getting loads of coverage.
I remember that.
Really hyped. Like the demos, I think Rock and Roll, my version, I think it was properly recorded by them. But like Rock and Roll was getting played on Radio 1 and stuff. Like, I had no idea sort of how much of a big deal that was. Like, now I fully understand what that means if a radio station like Radio 1 is supporting your record. Like, I'm a lot wiser now. Like, I sort of understand what's happening. Whereas as a 22, 23-year-old kid, I had no fucking idea what was happening.
I mean,
like,
your PR person at the time was Anton Brooks, right?
Yeah, who did Nirvana.
Yeah. Absolute mind blower.
He did the Foo Fighters.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, and that's rad. Like, and now our team that's behind Dinosaur is, in my opinion, one of the best teams in the world, and everybody in it's a freaking all-star. But to just have some demos and someone like Anton Brooks approach you, like, that was wild.
It's huge. Literally from putting a few things up on MySpace back then.
Yeah, and like Radio 1 playing and stuff. It was crazy, but like, I guess I don't know. I was so young. I just kind of didn't know what was happening, and maybe that wasn't like pressed upon me like enough. Like now, like we've been doing this a long time, and I've been doing this a long time, and I kind of fully realize what stuff means, like when someone's supporting a record, how much of a big deal that is.
Totally.
Who they are and how much reach they have and stuff. But it's crazy when you're young. It's like everything's just kind of a blur.
Isn't it wild when you think back to then, and there's like so many different things that kind of, even when I joined in 2010, like as the record was coming out, there were so many different things that we'd do kind of differently or would change completely now with hindsight. But there's so many other like younger artists who are coming up with their first album, and they just seem to get it right, and it all clicks straight away. And it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, I know. Like sometimes it is weird. Maybe that's down to like. Sometimes I'm like, is it down to the team that's looking after them at that time? Is it like, I don't know. It's crazy. Is it to do with luck? Is it to do with just how shit works out? Like, no one's journey is the same.
No, totally. But I'm always like, we weren't that naive, were we?
Yeah, I know. I mean, fuck, maybe I was. I have no idea.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, totally.
So yeah, and then after that Norwich show, we played another show in Norwich.
Yeah,
and
you were supporting someone that time.
I don't think you played. Oh yeah, okay, yeah. we were supporting someone. Was that Dan and
I
Anna
think it might have been,
Aykroyd?
yeah.
Yeah, might have been that tour. And you came down on the guest list, did you,
Yeah.
or something?
Yeah. I think
And then we...
I think we were in touch on email by that point.
Okay, yeah. And then after the show, there was that party at someone's house. Is it Maxie's house or something?
Yeah, my girlfriend at the time, my sister, where I think you ended up staying.
I think I ended up staying, yeah. And you put on Weezer Blue on the stereo, and I was like, oh, dude, I love this record so much. And I think we just like started massively sort of
bonding
hanging
over
out
it.
and sort of, and yeah, bonding over that. And it was after that party, I think I went back to studio, or then I did Growing Pains or something.
You started it pretty soon after
coming
that,
out
yeah.
of that. Yeah, okay. And then coming out of that, I emailed you because obviously Steve had started playing with Japanese Voyeurs.
Yeah.
So I was like, cool, I need to like get a touring drummer. And I immediately thought of you, obviously, because I thought you were great. And you told me once that, so you used to joke to everybody that I was gonna, because you'd watched us play at
Reading and
Leeds Festival?
Yeah.
Reading and Leeds, yeah. Which one? Was it Reading or Leeds?
The Reading Festival,
yes,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you'd watched us play that Radio 1 tent set, which was pretty mad. And you told me once that you used to joke to everyone that I'd asked you to join the band or something like that.
I just kept joking. I'd been
what was that?
Just been like, oh yeah, Matt's definitely going to ask me to join Dinosaur Pile Up one day. Just feel it, like always just as a joke. And I'd be like, yeah, I just got an email last night from Matt. He's asked me to join. So, and then one day it actually fucking happened.
And then that is
like,
so
no.
fucking
I'm not even fucking kidding this time. I legit like.
That is so wild.
Yeah, 20 years old, and I was like, fucking hell, all right. And I think I remember calling you after, because I was like, okay, I need to talk to you about it. And that conversation where you were selling it to me, you were like, yeah, man, pretty sure we're going to sign to Geffen. We've got all these shows lined up. We're going to go to New York, play CMJ. Going to be really busy with touring and everything. And I was like, fuck yeah, this sounds amazing. Okay, I'll do it. So I'll drop everything in Norwich, like quit my band, quit my job, go move up to Leeds. Literally threw all my shit in the back of a van, which you and Harry, Johns, the bass player at the time, drove down in to come and pick me up. So I remember, so we rented, me and Harry, so Tommy had stopped playing the band as well, so Harry had joined the band. No, Tom was still in there. Harry was rhythm guitar. Oh shit! Yeah, for like one show, right? I think that literally a couple of warm-up shows. I think Harry was playing rhythm guitar for yeah. And then Tommy left. Wow. Okay. Yeah, I'd forgotten that. I mean, it's so much of my memory is like, I don't know. I'm just so bad at remembering. Yeah, stuff. Dude, it's been what 13 years of touring. It's fine. I know. Yeah, we rented a van and drove down. I remember just literally turning up outside your house, or was it Stevie's house or something? Yeah. And you threw like 2 bin liners of clothes in and a mattress. That's amazing. That was it. And we just shut the door. We're like, cool, see you then, and just took you to Leeds. 4-hour journey. I mean, it was fucking surreal, that journey. Just being like, all right, guess this is it then. Me and these two guys who I hardly fucking know. Okay, hope this works out. Yeah. And the funny thing was, like, so I'd been living with a mate of mine, Liam, in my flat. Liam had recently moved out, and his room, I'd ended up kind of writing the record. Oh my god, so this fucking room. Dude, it was just full of crap, pieces of drum kits. I wrote the whole record on that couch, this couch in there. It was just a trash heap, but I'd kind of, like, literally one corner of it was just this mountain of crap. I don't even know what it was. There was a stack of like 11 pizza boxes in the corner. Pizza Cano. It was just, yeah, dude. Shout out. I lived on that stuff. Shout out Pizza Cano in Leeds. Yeah.
and like I'd sort of like being the airhead that I am, I'd sort of forgotten about that, and I'd also forgotten to tell you about that.
Yeah, so I fucking
I
turned
remember
up,
getting to my flat.
going up the fucking stairs, going into the flat, and then seeing this room, and I was like, "This can't be where I'm staying." And then Matt's like, "So this is your room?" I was like, "What the fuck, dude? There's not. I can't even see the carpet in here. You haven't cleaned it. You haven't prepared it or anything."
What was the rent like?
It was really bad.
It
was alright, that flat.
I think it was like 300 and something, was it?
And he didn't even clean it.
I literally can't remember. Yeah, I was too busy writing the fucking thing. Anyway, I can remember. I mean, I have such a vivid memory of like when, like, when we were living together in that flat. I have such a vivid memory of like walking in. And, like every morning, I'd like come and wake you up, and I'd like be putting the coffee on and stuff.
Yeah.
And Mikey slept on
the couch.
You slept on the couch for ages. Yeah.
Because we had to sort out that fucking room.
Floor space.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. There was no floor space for the mattress. So he just slept on the couch for like months. And I'd wake him up in the morning and he still had really, really long hair. And I'd like open his door and be like, "Hey man, I'll make coffee." And every morning I have such a vivid memory of this. He'd like kind of wake up, put his glasses on, and immediately just pick up his cigarettes and roll a cigarette. 20 seconds later, he hadn't moved 1 inch, just lying on the couch smoking.
That was my reward for waking up.
I don't know. I just never forgot that.
Yeah, loved it.
Anyway,
fucking hell, that is. I think I've actually got a picture on my phone of exactly how it looked. So I might, if when we put this up, I might put it on Dinosaur's Twitter or something, so people can have a look at just what kind of a fucking shit state this room was.
Dude, please.
I want to see this.
I wish I had. Yeah. I wish I had my like the 35mm little Nikon that I shoot all our tours on now. I wish I had it from back then.
Yeah,
because there was so much cool shit that we just didn't document, which is a kind of regret of mine, because all of that stuff is just priceless.
Gold dust.
But, no, yeah. Anyway, so how do we? Yeah,
so yeah, then
so much to.
Then I got in the band. I think we can do a bit more of an abridged version up to where Jim joined.
Yeah. So Jim, we were touring early days.
Yeah, we met. I think just around the same time that Growing Pains came out. I think, or you just put out Rock and Roll because it was on the radio. So I remember hearing it when we found out we were going to be going on tour with, or Dinosaur and my first band were like the support acts for the Automatic, was it?
Oh fuck, the Automatic. So this is before I'd even joined.
Yeah. This was Steve Wilson was on drums and Tom was bass player, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and you were still in Opera House.
Yeah.
And and you guys were the main. You guys were the openers.
Yeah.
And you were all obviously really nice and like totally, vibed with you guys. And then when Opera House ended, you started. Tribes was created.
Yeah.
And I remember Johnny Lloyd like playing me the demo of Tribes. And I was like, "Fuck, this is like so killer." Like, just immediately knew that was going to be a thing.
Yeah, and that kind of like what you were saying, Mike. That kind of like instantly kind of just clicked. But we had a sort of good team and like real sort of insiders kind of thing. So that kind of worked and went up real quick.
Yeah, you guys straight off the bat, it was like, oh,
yeah,
shit.
like yeah.
Who's this band?
So yeah, we did. Yeah, I was doing that.
It was like a big deal
for ages. But we always sort of hung out when you were in town, and then you guys moved down to London, you did, Matt. So we were always.
I think we both moved down together. You were always that band that was drinking in Camden.
That was
always like, if you go out drinking in Camden, you will see Tribes.
Yeah, 100%.
Heroes, I think.
And by that time, like,
where was
Heroes?
Was it Heroes in?
Oh
Kentish
yeah,
Town?
Fuck! I remember Heroes.
No, we used to drink it. We had friend. There was that the flower pot in Kentish Town was our thing, and then there was the Crown and Goose in Camden, which is now Flats, which is
the Crown and
disappointing.
Yeah, the Crown and Goose. I'd see you guys at all the time, but like I remember getting like messed up at Heroes because it was that bar just kind of popped up and it was the cheapest, shittest bar.
It was so
like
shit.
all of it was so bad, man, like dirty. But all the bands immediately started going there because it was fucking cheap.
So you get a pint for £3.
And then by that time I was kind of mates with Johnny, obviously. So like I'd always catch up with him and stuff.
Yeah.
And then I remember playing. What was it? Was it 2000
Trees? Yeah.
Yeah, and you were and Tribes played just before Dinosaur.
Yeah.
And I remember you guys played, and then you were rolling out pretty much straight afterwards. You watched our set from side of behind the amps, like side of stage.
I have such a vivid picture of Mikey slaying with his long hair and that floor tom that you used to use as a rack tom, like right in your face. Fucking hilarious. Harry John's throwing up everywhere.
Yeah.
Wild.
We were such a mess.
What is this band?
Yeah.
I remember this band from the Automatic tour. Man. They were all lovely, lovely young men. Now look at them.
Yeah. We were just such a mess of a band. Like, I think sometimes I'm like, maybe we just weren't fully formed for a long time. And we did all of that forming in the public view as a band, whereas sometimes I like that's what bands do before they
literally where bands get all that exposure is where they've refined it and it's already like fully, like you say, fully formed, and they've got this finished product to present to everybody. And like people know what they're doing on stage and they have their moves or whatever, and it's all worked out. We were still finding our feet and like who we were and what this band even was.
Yeah, we were just like, we totally didn't have our shit together. Like, really. I always
watched Dinosaur pile up when I was doing my other projects, though, with like crazy envy of how fun it all looked.
Oh, that's cool.
Really? Yeah, man, I loved it. I'm fangirling right now, but
that's
I loved
it. Yeah, I remember after that, I remember like playing that set and like looking backwards and stuff and seeing Miguel like grinning his face off at us and stuff.
Dude,
and then we, I remember you guys rolling out after that, and I jumped in your van real quick and gave you a vinyl, I think, or something.
Yeah.
I think I gave you a vinyl of Growing Pains.
I still have that, obviously, but yeah. I remember that.
And then kind of, Tribes got fucking busy and we were, I guess we were busy and stuff.
The Tribes are playing on rooftops in Camden, stopping traffic and shit.
Yeah.
Fuck. Yeah, we were playing in the junction in fucking wherever to 20 people for about 7 years. Sure.
First show on a rooftop.
It's been a tough road.
Yeah. Like the Beatles.
Yeah, like the fucking Beatles. Man. Yeah, it was killer.
Beatles. Yeah. Well, fast forward how many years and Tribes had finished? Like 4 years, maybe?
Yeah.
4 years. And we've been through a few different lineups, I think, in that time.
Yeah. And I got the phone call from you, Matt, and you were like, "You're free, right?" I was like,
"You're like, am I?"
Yeah, just. And he's like, have you got a visa for America? I was like, "Oh no, it's just expired." He's like, "Will you come to America without a visa and do this tour?"
Do you remember what tour that was?
No.
Was that YMAS?
Oh fuck, it was. That was our first US tour.
Yeah, because James, who was playing bass at the time, had visa issues, didn't he? It didn't look like he was going to be able to go.
Yes, it came through late.
Yeah,
like on the day. I think
it came through on the day of the flight, didn't it? Yeah.
Holy shit! It came
through on the day of the flight.
Yeah. So I couldn't do that one.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was kind of like, fuck, we're not going to have a bassist for this tour. But obviously, later down the road, James ended up leaving the band and you were free. But I think maybe you'd kind of had a bit of a sort of personal journey where you'd maybe considered giving up music.
I had, completely, yeah. I wanted to, because I studied photography at the same time that I was getting into music, and I really wanted to follow that.
I remember meeting you, Jim, at that
Yeah.
pub in Highgate at what used to be the Weatherspoons in the garden. And you were kind of like, yeah, I don't know, like I am kind of thinking about starting up my photography stuff again. And me and Matt were like, oh.
Soz.
Yeah, fuck. Yeah.
But then you lured me in.
And then, and then I remember having that meeting
with Adam, our manager.
Yeah. Oh, fuck.
With Adam. So we brought down, so we met you in Soho.
Yes.
And me and Mike were like, Adam, you've got.
We were like, we need to bring in the big guns.
You have.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Adam, our UK manager, like, or our UK side of our management is maybe the most charming and charismatic, one of the most charming and charismatic people you will ever meet.
One of the best talkers.
And unbelievable. And we were like, dude, we really need to get Jim in the band. So you're going to have to come to this meeting and somehow get him in the band.
Yeah.
And I remember we met you in Soho. I dyed my hair pink.
Oh,
so that was
fuck. I completely forgot about that. Oh, my God.
Yeah, I dyed my hair bright pink.
I remember.
I dyed my hair bright pink.
Didn't I walk in and Adam like had this whole massive speech prepared?
Yeah, and because he was late, wasn't he? Because we had already met up and started talking. I remember actually being really nervous.
Yeah.
I remember being nervous about whether you were going to join or not.
I was.
Yeah, and then we'd sort of all sat down together and had a beer, and I'd been like, yeah, sure, let's do it. And then Adam walked in, and he's like, right, here's the thing. And started on this like rant, and you were like, nah, he's already in. It's all good.
Yeah.
It's fine. It's sorted.
He was livid that he didn't get to do his full speech.
Yeah,
man.
And here we are.
And here we are.
What a journey.
I mean, yeah, that's how it all, that's how we got to this place. But I guess there's so much detail that, you know, we've maybe breezed over, but
yeah,
I think that gives you like quite a good.
I don't know, like the amount of times that we get asked that question in, you know, interviews where you can't elaborate on things. It was actually super awesome to hear the details. And I remember like the story of Mikey like throwing his mattress in the van and being basically abducted to go to Leeds.
Yeah.
Shit like that is priceless. And I've forgotten all that, and it's fucking wicked to hear it.
I forgot to mention as well, obviously I said that Matt had sold to me The Life of Being in Dinosaur Pile Up on the phone, which I remember vividly having this conversation in the kitchen about all these things, you know. The first meeting we had with our manager
which by the way, not to interrupt with Mikey, sorry dude, but how Mikey said, I'd said to him like, oh, we're going to sign to Geffen and we're going to go to CMJ. These are all things that I'd been sold by my management at the time. I'd been told all this because it did look kind of, we were in kind of a good spot, and I was like, holy shit, like I think my life's about to change.
To be fair, the guy from Geffen did fly over specifically to watch you guys, right? Or to meet you?
Yeah.
Was it to meet you?
Yeah. And obviously it was to watch and to meet me and stuff, and we did, you know, we met, but fuck, I mean, I was just like a kid and we sucked live. Like we weren't good yet. I don't know why anyone was getting all these people to see us. Like, I think basically when we came out with like rock and roll and stuff, I heard that a lot of people shit the bed about it because they were like, oh shit, this guy's like he's gonna write the next Buddy Holly.
Yeah, everybody thought
like
you were gonna be like the next
Weezer
or Foo Fighters. Absolutely.
Yeah, like they thought like that this grunge thing was gonna happen because of us. And that's cool and all, but I just wish people maybe waited a bit and not been impatient, because we hadn't written that song yet.
Yeah.
And everyone, you know, we just hadn't written that song. Or I hadn't written it, you know, and I think that was important. I kind of feel like maybe back in the day, people should have waited and to see if that was going to happen, because I don't think we were ready for all of that attention and all of those people, because in the end, I think those people kind of had high expectations of us and then saw us and shit and were kind of disappointed because they were like, oh, like these guys aren't ready yet. Or
I mean, it's classic. It was like a lot of hype, and it's easy to get swept up in it and to feel like, because when everybody's telling you that this is going to be massive, this is huge, you know, we're on the right projection, you know, everybody at Radio 1 loves it, Enemy loves it, you know, it's easy to buy into it.
Yeah.
And then I remember getting down, having a few practices, and then hearing that our manager, Stuart Clark at the time, was coming to meet us and give us an update on everything. And we're all sat there on the couch at Rock and Roll Circus in Leeds, the practice studio. And he was like, well, first things first, chaps, we're not signing to Geffen, and CMJ's off.
Oh, God.
Also,
the two promises.
Also, we're running out of money, so you're all going to have to go and get a job.
Yeah. Oh,
I was
the
like,
heartbreak,
bro,
bro.
I've been here a month. I just quit a job.
Yeah, that was tough, man.
Yeah.
We've we've had a lot of ups and downs. Fuck.
I remember also one of those first
I
weeks I was with you, and you were calling Stuart about moving some money over to your account. You're like, yeah, I'm running out of cash, you know, I need to go and buy some food, what's left in the band account or whatever. And I think it was 20 quid. I think he moved 20 quid over for you, and that was it.
I remember specifically some brutal times, like you and me had run out of money.
I love this.
And here's a couple of memories for
Here's
you.
an insight.
One, yeah, here's an insight of how, like, you know, just trying to stay in the game. We had no money, and my best mate in the whole world, Jay Maud, who is all of our best mates, and he's probably one of the loveliest people on the planet.
One of the nicest fucking dudes ever.
He's just the best. Jay, I mean, we all love pizza, right? We eat a lot of pizza. But Jay would often be ordering a pizza, and by this time, me and Mike had run out of money. So we'd call Jay and be like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" He's like, "Oh, just chilling." And me and Mike would be like, "Cool, like,
should we play some?
Come down and hang out later.
Play some video games then?
Yeah,
or?
play some video games. Come and hang out." And our ploy was to go down to Jay's and eat his leftover pizza
because we had nothing.
He might, because we had literally nothing, and we were like, I know that Jay's going to order a pizza. He'll probably eat about 5 slices. There should be 2 slices left that maybe we could get in on. So we've walked down to Jay's and
hey, what's up?
Just like eat his pizza. We'd eat his crusts.
Literally, he'd leave his crusts, like, and we would fucking go to town on those.
And be like, do you want that? Do you want those? Do you want those?
Oh my God.
And then there was another time where Jay, he, you know, like when people like collect pennies or 5p's, just like loose change that is fucking annoying. He collected like a tub of 5p's and 2p's and shit. And we were so skinned. And he was like, "Hey, dude, I've got this tub of 5p's." And bless him, he dropped off this tub of 5p's and 2p's and 1p's at our flat. And I remember walking down to the corner store with it and literally counting it out with the dude on the till and buying like crisps and all that
Our
shit.
snack of choice was like this fake Mexican, which was basically tortilla chips and yogurt, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember stood in the kitchen and all we had was yogurt and tortilla chips, and eating that, and a gherkin.
And a
We had
gherkin.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking into your eyes thinking, oh, shit.
Oh
This
my
is
God.
bad, isn't it?
Yeah.
This is fucking bad.
So many of those
man.
moments, which
Anyway.
I'm sure we'll talk about during these podcasts, where that you just sort of like, is this going to work?
Yeah, dude. I mean, I still have those moments. I had a really big one of those moments right before, just as we were finishing the record, just before we signed to Parlophone, being like, holy shit, this isn't going to work.
Yeah, yeah.
And then, bizarrely, it did.
That's for another time. I think we should wrap this one up.
For another time. All right, dudes. This has been cool.
Yeah.
if anyone has any questions and stuff, talking to the listeners here, if you guys have any questions, just like shoot them over or whatever. I think maybe we'll just like on an afternoon just before we're going to do a podcast, we'll probably just shout on Twitter or Instagram that we're going to do it, and to throw in some questions, because it's quite cool to just like go through this stuff.
Yeah, hell yeah.
I mean, that was obviously one question with a really very long answer.
Yeah.
yeah.
We can do more.
I guess there'll be
yeah.
There'll
also
be
as well, because of the purpose of this is to talk about band stuff, but also just musings that we've had. So there'll also be a few episodes that are completely unband related.
Yeah, for sure. Like,
what if dogs had no legs, for example?
I mean, okay, yeah. Or, living in the wild, wild west. What was that like? How would, what would that be like?
That's a great discussion. I think we should.
All gold. Yeah. Let's get on to that.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right. Anyway, I hope everyone enjoyed this and it wasn't too long-winded or whatever, but we'll catch up later.
In a bit.
All right.
All right, dudes. Later.
Bye.
Bye.